Miracles and Metaphors, Chapter 1, the second question. Question. He asked, may God preserve him, about the meaning of the angel's argument with God concerning his appointment of Adam as his vicegerent on earth. Answer. May God confirm both of us by his Spirit and bestow his mercy upon us. Know, my erudite friend, that this matter is intimately connected with the question of knowing that there are pure spirits and celestial souls, and understanding that these are essentially sanctified above matter, and that they require matter in order to act. First, it must be recognized that philosophers and researchers in the scholarly community have defined spirit in different ways. The best, most perfect, and clearest of these is that spirit is an abstract substance, separate from matter in essence, but not in act. It will not be hidden from the wise that this definition, insofar as it is a definition by negation, fails to elucidate the reality of the essence of one thing described. It is a comprehensive, restrictive definition, which, nonetheless, better explains the intent of the word spirit than other definitions. It can be known from this definition, for instance, that spirit is different from matter, and material things to regard to its essence, and material things in regard to its essence. Spirit cannot be described by such attributes as ingress and egress, independence and inherence, advance and retreat, movement and stillness. Eyes cannot perceive it, nor can the other senses. Yet it remains in need of matter in all acts, and inseparable from it in all conditions, for it is unimaginable that matter be stripped from it. No act can issue from spirit except through matter, and it is inconceivable that an effect could be produced by spirit save through the instrumentality of matter. For instance, it is impossible to imagine that the acts of seeing, hearing, writing, or thinking could proceed from spirit alone, except through the instrumentality of the eye, the ear, the hand, the brain, and so on. In this respect, there is no difference between holy celestial spirits, rational human spirits, perceptive animal spirits, or base satanic spirits. These are all terms and expressions referring to actions, attributes, and properties, rather than to the common abstract nature of their essence and their need for matter in order to act. Many have remained heedless of this point, and ancients and moderns have both wandered astray in this desert. To this the holy verses have referred. Quote, and had we made him an angel, we would have made him in the form of a man, and we would have thus confused them concerning the very thing about which they are sowing confusion. Unquote. Those lost in the wasteland of delusion, heedless of the true meaning of that which the all-possessing, the all-knowing had promised, saw in the heavenly scriptures, particularly in the Holy Gospel, that the Lord Messenger, or the Lord who would descend, would come with a company of favored angels, and a host of the concourse on high, and that he would be rendered victorious by a multitude of swooping angels, and those riding behind. But when the noble messenger Muhammad appeared, may the blessings and peace of God be upon him and upon his house, they saw a simple man who ate food, strolled in the market, kept company with other Arabs, and sat upon the ground. There were neither angels hovering over his head, nor hosts of those imagined spirits walking before and behind him. They criticized Muhammad for failing to fulfill the revelation because he did not meet an unreasonable condition. They clamored, shouted, elaborated, and expatiated at length. Quote, "And they said, 'What is wrong with this messenger, that he eats food and walks in the markets? Why has an angel not been sent down to him, to be a warner with him?'" End quote. The previously cited verse was revealed to reproach and to silence these people, to refute their proofs, and to rebut their fancies. It informed them that there is no effulgence of the Spirit save in the form of a human being, and that angels only descend in such a form. To put it more clearly, pure substance can only have an effect through the instrumentality of bodies. An angel who descends is nothing other than a human being. What is the meaning of human being? He is the supreme talisman, the most noble substance, the form created for unchallenged dominion of all the world, the perfect, distinguished reality, the first revealed sign, the essence receptive of all forms, high and low. All these names and attributes refer to the human being, and all else is fancy, dream, illusion, and imagination. How often have philosophers attempted to establish that there exists an absolutely pure intellect, separate from matter, both in essence and in act? However, the steed of their argument has stumbled on their evidence, the blade of their investigation has failed to strike home, and the standard of their proof has been hauled down. They spoke with great bombast and verbosity, but in the end produced nothing. How could it be otherwise? For this idea is simply a relic of the idle notions of the pagans and the daydreams of the Greeks, left over from a time when the veils of doubt obscured the truth on all sides, and the gloom of the blackest night enveloped all regions. Among the peculiar properties of night is that nothing can be seen except prostrate souls, drowning in slumber, and minds lost in a labyrinth of dreams. The great scholar Nasiruddin Tusi, may God sanctify his soul, put this concisely and eloquently in his book, the Tajreed, wherein he demonstrated the weakness of their proofs. He said, "As for the universal intellect, there is no evidence of its impossibility, but the evidence for its existence is weak." Let us leave off this plunge into the black depths of idle thoughts, and return to the exposition of the solution we were proposing to this question. Those endued with intelligence know that God, in his consummate wisdom and all-encompassing power, created two opposing forces, two conflicting spirits. The first is the sanctified spirit, which does good and emanates compassion, inspiring propriety and wisdom. The prophets have called it Gabriel, the Holy Spirit, or the faithful Spirit. The philosophers have termed it the celestial spirit, the universal intellect, the first emanation, and the heavenly soul. The second is the wicked spirit, which does evil and provokes rancor, inspiring sin and error. The prophets have referred to it as Satan, the devil, and, in the Holy Gospel, as the beast and the behemoth. The philosophers have called it the base spirit, and the absolute self. It has been established that the relationship between spirits and bodies is only that of connection and encompassment, not that of infusion and incarnation, or of entering and withdrawing. It has been shown that the mirrors reflecting the effulgences of the Holy Spirit are the hearts of the prophets and messengers, the innermost being of the manifestations of the cause of God, the Lord of the worlds. Their noble bodies are thrones upon which God is seated, temples for the worship of God, lamps shining with the light of God, manifestations of all his names and attributes, and instruments of his emanations and signs. In the same way, evil hearts are the seats of base spirits and vile selves, and are mirrors reflecting idle fancies and contemptible delusive thoughts. Their bodies are instruments of error and manifestations of tests and divisions. Their tongues are the dragomans of Satan, and they are themselves the essence of the evil one and the enemies of the All-Merciful. But the hosts of Satan are the vanquished, and the armies of God are the victors. If all this be recognized, the meaning of angel and demon will necessarily be understood, as will the meaning of the argument between God and the concourse on high. It will also be seen that everything contained in the Holy Qur'an in this regard is only a statement of what has occurred and what will happen at the time of the appearance of the manifestations of the cause of God, the renewal of the world through their appearance, the return of the primal realities through their dawning, and the realization of the creation, the resurrection, the assembling, and the dispersal through their word. At such times, the angel is distinguished from the demon, and the hosts of unbelief are weeded from the ranks of the army of God. Then will the good be known from the despicable, the base from the excellent, the lean from the fat, the denizens of hell from the inmates of heaven. It is recognized and established among those of pure heart and illumined vision that the dispute among the concourse on high only took place after God decided to set up a vicegerent upon the earth, to ordain a guardian, to prescribe the succession of the branch which came forth from the ancient root, and to order that all should prostrate themselves before his noble countenance. Since the recurrence always resembles the original, God proclaimed that this dispute would be renewed. He preordained the occurrence of such opposition in the verse, quote, "Say, it is the great announcement, to which ye are opposed. I had no knowledge of the concourse on high when they quarrelled." End quote. God has stated openly in his holy book, with the greatest eloquence and the most lucid explanation, that enmity will inevitably break out among the concourse on high, and a dispute is expected in the Most High Paradise. This is so that the people of the right hand will be distinguished from the people of the left hand, that the people of guidance may be told from those gone astray, the angel known from the demon, and the followers of Satan separated from the worshippers of the All-Merciful. However, God commanded his prophet to conceal the explanation of this quarreling and disputation, and to avoid giving the believers its details, leaving it general in its symbolism. Since God did this out of mercy toward his creation, owing to their weakness, no doubt the erudite questioner will pardon us if we have spoken concisely and left this matter after a profitable investigation still somewhat ambiguous.